Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to all of you in this second recorded lecture for the week number 7. In the first recorded lecture, we have discussed the basics of the resistivity log, and we have seen that the resistivity of the rock changes with the porosity, with the fluid content, with the wettability of the rock and cementation factor. And we have seen an equation called the Archie equation, and we have seen that through Archie equation we can calculate the Coonate water saturation in the pay zone. And we have also seen that the basic use of the resistivity log is to identify the hydrocarbon bearing zone. And we know that in the permeable hydrocarbon bearing zone, because of the mud invasion, we have different fluid distribution in different zones after the mud invasion. In the near wellbore zone, which is called the flush zone, the majority of the pore space is occupied by the mud filtrate, and we have only the residual oil saturation in this flush zone. In the transition zone, we have the mixture of mud filtrate, formation water and the hydrocarbon. And in the uninvaded zone, we have majority of the hydrocarbons plus some of the Coonate water. So because of the different fluid distribution in different zone around the wellbore, we need to determine the resistivity of each zone. And we have seen that by measuring the different resistivity of different zone, we make a resistivity profile. And we know that by comparing the resistivity of the flush zone with the deep zone, we can determine whether the zone contains hydrocarbon or not. Since we have developed the mud and we know the type of the mud, so we know the resistivity of the mud filtrate, and we also know the expected resistivity of the flush zone. So if we have used the water based mud, so we know that the near wellbore resistivity will be very low, because water based mud generally has low resistivity. So in that formation, if the deep zone is showing that the resistivity is very high, so the separation, the large separation between the MSFL and the LLD indicate that this zone basically contains the hydrocarbon. So the basic use of the resistivity log is to identify the hydrocarbon bearing zone, and this is done after comparing the MSFL value with the LLD value. And we have also seen that basically the modern tool for measuring the shallow zone and the deep zone resistivity are LLS and LLD. So lateral lock shallow and lateral lock deep are the modern tools which measure the resistivity of the shallow and the deep zone. And the near wellbore resistivity, which is the flush zone resistivity, is measured through the MSFL log, which is called the micro resistivity focus log. For example, in this log section, as you can see, the resistivity log has been run and is plotted on track number 2, and the scale of resistivity is from 0.2 to 200 ohm meter, and you can see that the resistivity log is plotted on the log cycle. We have like 4 log cycle in this log section, and we know that the unit value in each cycle is different for each cycle. For example, for first cycle, the unit value is 0.1 ohm meter, and for second cycle the unit value is 1 ohm meter. For third cycle the unit value is 10 ohm meter, and for fourth cycle 100 ohm meter. So the scale is from 0.2 to 200, and since the first cycle has 9 lines, so the starting value of the first cycle is 0.2 ohm meter, and at the end you have 1 ohm meter. Since the unit value of the first cycle of this resistivity log is 0.1 ohm meter. So 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, 1 ohm meter. Similarly, the unit value for the second cycle is 1 ohm meter. So the resistivity scale for second cycle is 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the value for the third cycle is from 10 ohm meter, 100 ohm meter. Since each box in the third cycle is equal to 10 ohm meter. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 and 100 ohm meter. And on the extreme right we have 200 ohm meter. So 100 to 200 meter basically we have the value. So resistivity log is measured and plotted on the track number 2, and you can see against each zone we have measured 3 resistivity, and you know that MSFL is the resistivity of the shallowest zone. Basically it is the resistivity of the flash zone. LLS is the resistivity of the transition zone mostly and some distance away from the transition zone, and LLD is the resistivity of the deepest zone. So MSFL will be reading the flash zone and LLD will be reading the uninvaded zone resistivity, and LLS basically will be measuring either the transition zone or the uninvaded zone resistivity depending on the depth of invasion of your mud. So if mud invasion is deep, LLS will be measuring the transition zone resistivity. If mud invasion is shallow, the LS will be measuring the deep zone resistivity. So this is the basically the resistivity log, and from the resistivity log you need to identify the hydrocarbon bearing zone, maybe you need to identify the permeable zone, maybe you need to identify the shaly zone. So these are some uses of resistivity log, and we will see this in the coming slide. For example, if you are asked to read the value of MSFL in zone number 4. So in zone number 4, MSFL basically is this. MSFL is represented through the black solid line. So basically in zone number 4, the MSFL value is lying in the second log cycle, and the value is 4 ohm meter. So MSFL value in zone number 4 is 4 ohm meter, and LLD value in zone number 4 is, so LLD is lying in third cycle in zone number 4. So in zone number 4 the LLD value is 40 ohm meter, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So LLD value in zone number 4 is 50 ohm meter. One thing you can notice in this log response that for majority of the zones the LLS and LLD value is overlapping, except obviously in zone number 8 and in zone number 2. So except in zone number 8 and 2, the LLS and LLD value are overlapping. But you can see for majority of the cases MSFL and LLS and LLD have separation, obviously except zone number 1 and 3. So in zone 1 and number 1 and 3, all these 3 responses are overlapping. In zone number 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, in all other zones except zone number 1 and 3, MSFL is measuring the lowest resistivity as compared to LS and LLD. That indicates something. When all the curves are overlapping, it indicates something, and when MSFL and LS and LLD are separated to each other, it indicates something. So for example, in zone number 4, MSFL is showing something, LS and LLD value is showing something. So the separation is present between MSFL and LS and LLD. It indicates something that we will see in the coming slides. Obviously, you have to take use of other logs, for example this spectral gamma log response, the PEF log, the density neutron response, and the cross plot, the sonic log value. So you have to read resistivity log value along with this other log responses to come to some useful meaning. So lateral log, if basically tool should not be used in fresh muds, as we have seen that resistivity log basically requires the circuit to complete. So if you use oil based mud, basically you have used insulator. So if you use the oil based mud, you cannot measure the resistivity of the rock. So lateral log logs can only be run in the water based mud, in the saline water based mud. So in fresh muds or in oil based mud, this log cannot be run, and it will not give you the values. Good centralization is required to minimize borehole influence on the shallower lateral log measurements. The deep lateral log is only slightly affected by washout holes. If invasion is deep, a good value of RXO is required to correct LLD for invasion influence to obtain an accurate value of RT. We will see that how invasion is basically estimated through the resistivity log, and how basically invasion correction is applied to get a true value of RT. Obviously, when you have deep invasion, which means that the mud is penetrated inside the formation, and because of this mud penetration, this LLD value will also affect, because all tool has some limitation. They cannot measure the reservoir properties infinitely. They will measure the reservoir properties to some extent. For example, let's say 4 to 6 feet. So if invasion is shallower, around 1 feet, LLD value will be reliable and representative of the formation. But if the invasion is beyond 4 to 6 feet, which means that your RT value will be just like your basically your mud value, because mud invasion is deep. So you have to basically apply the invasion correction to get the true value of your formation or the true value of RT. So first basically you need to identify that you have deep invasion in this particular zone, and once you identify that you have the deep invasion, you have to apply the invasion correction to get the true value of RT. And we know that RT basically the resistivity of the uninvaded zone. RXO is the resistivity of the flush zone, and RXO is read from this MSFL curve. So all these black line basically showing the resistivity of the flush zone, which is RXO, and LLD, which is represented through this red line, the dashed red line, basically it is the RT value. So in deep invasion zone, the RT value basically need to be corrected to get the true reading of the formation. Good repeatability should always be seen. In permeable zones with RMF is lower than RW, you should see this behavior, that RXO, the flush zone resistivity, is lower as compared to your shallow zone resistivity and as compared to your deep zone resistivity. And basically we have seen this resistivity profile when we were discussing the invasion of mud inside the formation, and we have seen these two behavior. So for example, if you were drilling with the water based mud, and the resistivity of your mud is lower as compared to the uninvaded zone, so RXO is lower as compared to the transition zone, and the transition zone resistivity is lower as compared to the uninvaded zone. So in permeable formations, if you have this condition as written over here, the resistivity of the mud filtrate if lower than the RW, you should see this effect. The amount of separation between deep and shallow curves depends on the depth of invasion, relative values of RMF and RW, and the filtrate and the water saturation. We will see this in the coming slide. In impermeable zone, all resistivity curves should overlay. So basically we need RXO to correct the invasion effects on deep, resistivity readings tool to obtain RT. Indications of fluid displacement and the diameter of invasion are good sign that formation is impermeable. In some cases, comparison of deep and shallow resistivity can indicate presence of hydrocarbon. And RXO measurement is another method for finding RW when a wet zone is available. So these are the important things. That is why basically we measure the resistivity of the flush zone, and we will see this individually in the coming slides. So basically we measure the flush zone resistivity through different tools. These are the tools of different companies, and basically in our log the MSFL log has been run. So all these log or tool basically will not work in oil based muds, and all these basically shallow measurements are affected by your washouts. So when you have oil based mud, these tools cannot run, and basically these tools are very important because they provide you the RXO, and RXO is used to correct true value of RT. RXO value is important to identify the permeable zone and the presence of hydrocarbon, and RXO is very important to calculate the RW. And we have seen that RW basically is used in the RC equation. So RW is obtained many times in the wet zone, in the aquifer. So you need to identify that which zone is the aquifer. Basically, aquifer is the zone which contains only 100% water. So first you need to identify which zone is 100% water, and then you use the RXO value to obtain the RW, and then you use the value of RW to calculate SW in the pay zone. So how do we identify that this zone is water zone or hydrocarbon zone? We again take use of the resistivity log to identify that this zone is water zone and this zone is hydrocarbon bearing zone. Identification of permeability is also very important use of this resistivity log. So for example, micro inverse and micro normal log, these two logs basically are the shallowest measurement, and as you can see, the one log which is called micro inverse log, it reads in the low resistivity mud cake, and micro normal basically reads in the mud cake plus higher resistivity invaded zone. So when you compare the reading of micro inverse and micro normal, and you have separation, one is basically showing one is only measuring the mud cake and the other is measuring mud cake plus formation, and if you have separation or the difference between the two resistivities, it indicates that you have the mud cake. In impermeable zone, we know that basically no mud cake will form, and we have seen that mud cake only forms in the formation where we have the separation of mud into mud cake and mud filtrate. This mud filtrate penetrates inside the formation and solid forms the mud cake. So against impermeable formation, you do not have any mud cake, which means that the resistivity as measured by the Mi and Mn will be same, and you do not have the separation. So when both Mi and Mn are overlapping, it indicates that this zone is impermeable. And when you have the separation, one log is measuring some other resistivity and other log is measuring some other resistivity. Both logs are measuring different resistivities. So when you have separation, the separation indicates that this zone is the permeable zone, and permeable zones are the possible hydrocarbon bearing zones. So impermeable zones, basically we do not treat the impermeable zone as reservoir rocks because permeability is the important property of the reservoir. So that's how basically we use the separation between the shallowest and the deep log to identify the permeable zone. And as you can see, the MSFL log basically, which is generally run, and it only measures around 5 to 10 centimeters into the formation. So MSFL basically measuring the flush zone resistivity only around 2 to 4 inch into the formation. So it is the shallowest measurement. So it is measuring the flush zone resistivity, mud cake plus some formation. Basically, in this slide, different responses are shown. For example, this is a known formation which is surrounded by two impermeable zones of shale. If you have the impermeable clean formation, for example, this unknown formation is impermeable and has 0% porosity, which means that the resistivity of this zone will be higher. And since it is impermeable, which means you do not have any mud invasion inside the formation. So when you do not have any mud invasion inside the formation, you do not have the resistivity profile. The flush zone, the medium zone, the deep zone resistivity, all will be equal and will be equal to some higher value. That is why three curves are giving you the equal resistivity and giving you equal resistivity at some higher value, because the porosity of the formation is 0%. So if basically unknown formation is a clean formation and has 0% porosity, its resistivity will be high, and since it is impermeable, all three curves will be overlapping. And if the unknown formation is shale, the three curves will be overlapping at a low value. This shale is also 0%, but we will see in the coming slide that basically shale has low resistivity because shale structure is conductive. Shale conducts electricity through its structure. So three curves are overlapping and overlapping at some lower value, and it is also possible that in this case the RW, resistivity of formation water, is equal to RMF. Let's assume the third case, when the unknown formation is permeable and porous. So when you have the permeable and porous formation, now basically you will have separation. The shallowest resistivity log basically will give you lower resistivity, and the deep zone will give you some other resistivity. And if you do not have any appreciable difference between the low and high resistivity, you will not basically say that the formation contains the hydrocarbon. So if the deep resistivity is closer to your shallow resistivity, it means that the formation contains the water only. But if you have this separation between the deep and the shallowest resistivity, that indicates that the formation is porous and permeable and contains the hydrocarbon. So basically this is another example of how we basically plot the resistivity profile. As we have seen in this resistivity profiles, basically we are dealing with the water based mud, and if the formation contains the water, we will have this type of profile, and if the formation contains the oil, we will have this type of separation. So shallowest will read low value, the deepest will read higher value. So this is possibly that this zone contains the hydrocarbon, and if the shallow contains the high resistivity and the deep contains the low resistivity, so it indicates that basically this zone is water zone, and basically it is based on the fact that we know the resistivity of your mud. And if all the curves are overlapping, it will indicate that this zone is impermeable, because in impermeable zones we do not have the mud invasion and we do not have the fluid distribution in different zones. So near wellbore zone will have the same value of fluid distribution as compared to the far zone. So if you measure the resistivity of different zones, in impermeable zone you will have this similar resistivity value, and against shale you have the low resistivity value because shale conducts electricity and basically the resistivity of shale is low. So if three curves are low resistivity and overlying each other, the formation is an impermeable shale, or rarely the formation is permeable and water bearing, but the mud filtrate has the same resistivity as the formation water. So for the first case, these are the two possibilities: either the formation is the shale, or basically the formation water has similar resistivity as compared to your mud filtrate. If all the three curves are higher resistivity than the surrounding shales and overlying each other, the formation is an impermeable cleaner formation, for example sandstone and limestone. For this is called the tight formation, and we know that tight formation has zero porosity and obviously zero permeability. So if the formation is tight, impermeable, you will have the overlapping of the different resistivity curves, and overlapping will occur at some higher values. If the shallow curve has low resistivity but the medium and deep penetrating tools have a higher resistivity, that is the same, the formation is permeable and contain only formation water. If the shallow curve has a low resistivity, the medium has a higher resistivity, and the deep one has an even higher resistivity, the formation is permeable and contain hydrocarbon. So this is the fourth case, and basically we will see the log responses in the coming slides too. So how basically we use RC equation to calculate basically the saturation of water, or basically in first case we will be seeing that how basically we use RC equation to calculate the RW. So this is the RC equation, and we know that RC equation basically is used to calculate the coordinate water saturation, and basically this equation is applied in pay zone. The zone contains the hydrocarbon. So SW power n is equal to ARW phi m RT, and we know the symbols. SW means water saturation, n is the saturation exponent. Generally it is taken as 2, and it depends on the wettability. A is the factor, and for sandstone it is equal to 0.8, for limestone it is equal to 1. RW is the resistivity of the formation water, phi is the porosity, m is the cementation factor, and for most cases we take m is equal to 2. RT is the formation resistivity, which is basically read from the LLD log. So this is the SWN equation, and this is used in the pay zone. And for flushed zone, the same equation can be used but with different symbol. And we know that in flush zone the saturation of water is represented through SXO. So SXO basically is the water saturation in the invaded zone. In invaded zone, which is flush zone, you have the mud filtrate. So RW is replaced by RMF, and the flush zone resistivity is RXO. So the same equation with different symbols have been used for the flush zone. So basically this is again the summary. For the flush zone, the RC equation become this, and for the uninvaded zone, the RC equation is this. So if you are working in a water zone where basically water saturation is 100%, both in the flush zone and in the deep zone, so SW will be equal to 1 and SXO will also be equal to 1. So in that case you can make these two equations equal to each other, and rearranging this equation will give you the value of RW. So basically by using the flush zone resistivity and the deep zone resistivity of the water bearing zone, you can calculate the value of RW. So RW is equal to RMF divided by RXO into RT. Again RMF basically is calculated in the lab and it is provided on the log header. RXO is the flush zone resistivity, RT is the deep zone resistivity, and when you are calculating RW, basically you are working in the water zone. So first you need to identify the water zone through the resistivity log, and once you have identified the water zone, you can use RXO and RT to calculate RW, and this is called the resistivity ratio method. So basically through resistivity ratio method we calculate RW. So this is an application of RXO to basically calculate RW, and we will see that RW will ultimately be used to calculate SW. So how do we identify the permeable zone through resistivity log? And as we have seen in the previous slide, in permeable formations there will be mud invasion. The resistivity curves will show separation as different fluids are present in reservoir at different locations. So because of the mud invasion, you will have mud filtrate near flush zone, and as you move inside the reservoir you will have different fluids, so resistivity will be different. For example, in this log section we have been asked to identify the permeable zone through the resistivity log. We know that we can identify the permeable zone through caliper log and through the SP log, and basically we know that when the actual hole size is lower than your bit size, it indicates the mud cake, and when you have the mud cake, it indicates that this zone is the permeable zone. And we also have seen that in SP log, whenever we have deflection from the shale base line, that indicates that this zone is the permeable zone. So through resistivity log we can also identify the permeability of the zone, and we know that when we have the permeable zone, we have the separation between the MSFL and other resistivity log. So for example, in zone number 1, you can see that all these three resistivity curves are overlapping to each other, which indicates that you do not have any mud invasion. All three curves are overlapping and overlapping at some higher values. So zone number 1 is impermeable because no mud invasion has taken place, and you have the similar values at all depths. In zone number 2, you can see you have the separation. MSFL is showing the low resistivity and LLS and LLD are showing higher resistivity. So you have the separation between the resistivity curves. So zone number 2 is permeable. Same thing, zone number 3 is impermeable. You can see all these three curves are overlapping to each other, and overlapping indicates that no mud invasion has taken place in this zone. In zone number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, in all zones you can see you have a separation between MSFL and the other two curves. So whenever you have separation between MSFL and other two curves, it indicates that this zone is the permeable zone. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all zones are permeable zones because you have this separation. The MSFL is measuring low resistivity as compared to the other two resistivity tool. Obviously, we are not focusing on the separation between LS and LLD. These two curves can overlap, and we have seen that basically LLS and LLD measuring some deep zone resistivity. LLS is measuring around 1 to 2 feet zone resistivity, and basically LLD is measuring around 4 to 6 feet deep resistivity of the zone. So if you do not have the deep invasion, both LLS and LLD will be measuring the same resistivity, as you can see in zone number 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. And basically when you have the slightness of invasion, the shallow invasion, MSFL will read the resistivity of the mud of the shallow formation. So whenever you have separation between MSFL and other two resistivity log, basically it indicates that this zone is permeable. We are not basically focused or concerned of the overlapping of LLS and LLD, because these two curves show something different. So even MSFL is showing different resistivity as any of the two, that indicate that this zone is permeable. So except 1 and 3, all zones are permeable in this log section. And as you can see, we haven't been provided information of the caliper log and SP log. So even the SP log and caliper log is not available, we can identify the permeability of the zone through the resistivity curves. So zone number 1 and 3 are impermeable zone, as the resistivity curves are overlapping. Except zone number 1 and 3, all zones are permeable zone. So permeability is the important parameter required for the reservoir. So if zones are permeable, they can be reservoir if they have hydrocarbons. Resistivity of the shale. We know that shale has lower resistivity, which is due to the presence of bound water in clays that undergo surface conduction. Clays conduct electricity in two ways, through their pore water and through their clay structure. So basically we know that clay consists of staked silicate layers, which in the presence of water becomes negatively charged. Clay converts into immobile negatively charged framework and positive current conducting ion. Clay is like an inverted electric cable. The inside is non-conductive but outside conduct electricity. As shale is impermeable, no mud invasion occurs in shale reservoir. The resistivity curve will not show separation and will overlap at low resistivity value. Basically, for example, if you identify shale through resistivity log, you can see that in shale zones, all the three curves will be overlapping to each other, and overlapping will occur at some lower values because shale are conductive, because shale conducts electricity through their matrix, because the shale structure basically conducts electricity. As mentioned that clay is like an inverted cable. The inside is non-conductive but outside conduct electricity, and since solids are connected to each other, so current can pass through the shale structure, and shales are impermeable. So in impermeable formation you have the overlapping of the three resistivity log. So against this shale formation you have the overlapping of the three curves, and overlapping basically is occurring at some lower values because shales are conductor. Similarly, you can see in this shale formation you have the overlapping of the three resistivity curves, and overlapping basically occurs at some lower values. Again, in this formation you can also see that in against shale zones, you will have the overlapping of the resistivity curves, and overlapping will occur at some lower values. So through the resistivity logs, you can identify the shale zone. We have seen that we can identify shale through gamma ray log. So now we can also identify the shale zone through the resistivity log. And basically, when you have the high gamma ray and when you have the positive separation on the density neutron response, and when you have the low resistivity, and low resistivity is basically all the three curves are overlapping at lower resistivity value. So when you have all these signs and the log responses, the zone basically is most likely the shale zone. So identifying shale becomes very easy when you combine the resistivity log with other logs, gamma ray log, SP log, density neutron cross plot response. So as you can see, shale has high gamma ray value, low resistivity, all curves are overlapping. You have the positive separation. You have the positive separation, low resistivity value, high gamma ray value, high gamma ray value. You have the positive separation. You have the overlapping. So basically, by combining all these logs, you can easily identify the shale zones. That's all from my side for the lecture number 2 for week number 7. Thank you.